Our home, Earth, has a well-defined routine. For 4.5 billion years, it has been orbiting the Sun, giving us days, nights, and seasons. But what if, all of a sudden, the Sun were to disappear and in its place, one of the universe's most mysterious and terrifying objects were to emerge, a black hole? What would happen to us? What would life be like in a world without a sun, yet orbiting a darkness that warps space-time? Prepare for a journey that will turn your world upside down. First, we need to understand what a black hole is. It's a region in space where the force of gravity is so intense that nothing, not even light, can escape. This overwhelming gravity is the result of a huge amount of matter being compressed into an incredibly small space. Most black holes form from the collapse of a massive star at the end of its life. When a star with a mass at least 20 times greater than our Sun's consumes all its fuel, hydrogen and helium, it can no longer support its own mass against gravity. Gravity wins, and the star collapses in on itself in a cataclysmic event called a supernova. The remaining core of the star is compressed to an infinite density, forming the black hole. If you were to fall into a black hole, the force of gravity would be so different between your head and your feet, a phenomenon called a tidal force, that you'd be stretched like a noodle. This process is known as spaghettification. Additionally, time would pass much more slowly for you than for a distant observer, an effect of the extreme time dilation near a black hole. Despite their reputation as matter suckers, black holes aren't giant vacuum cleaners wandering through space. They behave like any other massive object. If the Sun were magically replaced by a black hole of the same mass, Earth would continue its normal orbit because the force of gravity would be the same. The difference is that Earth would become a frozen world without the Sun's light. The first thing to understand is, for Earth to survive, it would need to orbit the black hole at a safe distance. If it got too close, it would be swallowed. This safe distance is called the event horizon, the point of no return. The black hole would be like the new Sun, keeping Earth in its orbit. But the orbit wouldn't be as we know it. A black hole's gravity is so extreme that the Earth's orbit would be much more complex and unstable. We wouldn't be a simple ellipse, we could be pulled and thrown back and forth. We would have to be under constant monitoring to avoid being hurled into deep space or sucked in. And gravity would also have a brutal effect on Earth. The tides would be gigantic. Think of the tides that the Moon and the Sun create in the oceans. Now imagine a force hundreds of times greater. Oceans would be lifted and brought down, causing unprecedented earthquakes and volcanoes. The second big change would be our sky. The sky would be dominated by a view that is at once beautiful and terrifying, the accretion disk. This disk is made up of gases, dust, and debris from stars and planets that have been captured by the black hole. As they are pulled toward the center, their speed increases and friction generates unimaginable heat. The result? An incredibly bright ring of light, stronger than our Sun, that would emit radiation across the entire spectrum, from X-rays to radio waves. The sky would be a spectacle of lights and colors, but with the downside of being irradiated. That's not all. The black hole's gravity would bend the light from distant stars and galaxies, a phenomenon known as gravitational lensing. The sky would no longer be the same, it would look like a distorted mirror. The extreme gravity of a black hole affects not only space, but also time. This effect is called time dilation. If you were closer to the black hole than we are, time would pass more slowly for you. For us here on Earth, this difference would be imperceptible, but for someone in a space station closer to the black hole, every hour there could be a day on Earth. But the biggest question is, would life survive? Without the Sun, the Earth would become a ball of ice. Our temperatures would plummet, and everything would freeze. We would need an artificial energy source to heat the planet. We could use geothermal energy or maybe the radiation from the accretion disk, but it would be a gigantic technological challenge. Life on Earth would be completely different. We would have to live under the constant light of the accretion disk. Our notion of day and night would no longer exist. Sleep and routine would be dictated by artificial cycles, not by the Sun. We would have to build entire cities underground or in domes to protect ourselves from radiation. Agriculture would be done with artificial light, and technology would be our only hope for survival. We would be a civilization completely dependent on technology, living in an alien world. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next ones. Living on a planet that orbits a black hole would be a visually spectacular experience, but our daily routine would be a nightmare. Orbital instability, gigantic tides, radiation, and the lack of a sun would make life on Earth almost impossible. This scenario makes us value our home and our good fortune in being in a perfect orbit around our star even more. Earth is our only home, and life as we know it only exists because our place in the universe is perfect. So, the next time you look at the sky, remember how lucky we are. And you, what would you do in a world like that?